Well, we got some news. But of course, before we start, it's Rees-Zammit. It's Rees Lightning Watch. We got Rees Lightning Watch, man. This last 2 weeks, it was the last preseason games. This past Tuesday was cutting time, and they was trying to find out where Rees-Zammit was going to go. Now, if you guys got a chance to see it, if you didn't, that makes sense because nobody really watched preseason games. His second preseason game, he didn't really do it very much. Like, I don't think they made him do like one punt, and then that was it. In his last game, he did improve a lot more. It looked like he was trying to finally understand his positioning as a running back. He had 25 yards on 4 carries. He had a run for 10 yards, a run for 4, which got him a first down. Pretty legitimate. You see the improvement. He's clearly kicking it in, and it was like, okay, maybe the Chiefs are going to hold him down. And then the news absolutely broke. Unfortunately, Rees-Zammit was unable to continue as a Chief. Let's bring up a quick video to kind of show how he was playing, because again, I thought he did remarkably well. We'll go into that. Let me see. You tell me how you feel on him.
Shortcuts, you got to do each step. One of those steps is training camp.
Nice running
and battling through that, getting yourself ready for a long season. But it's going to be a challenge. It's hard to win in the NFL. But we're ready for it.
Drew, good luck with the season. We appreciate you.
Thanks so much. Go Chiefs.
All right, thank you very much, Drew, and thank you to Matt. And when you look back at last year, we talked with Brett Veach earlier in the game. Getting Drew Tranquil on a 1-year deal last year was a really impactful.
Good, solid setup.
Oh, it was very big. When you're trying to figure out, who your guys in the middle are going to be, and he came in and was a force, and that's why they signed him.
Nice little cut in for another 4 yards. Solid play. Looks like it's starting to come together a little bit for him. And obviously, as I said, his time got canceled. The Chiefs decided not to continue on with him in that manner, which essentially relegated him to either being a practice squad person or being cut out the league. And honestly, I thought he was going to make the Chiefs practice squad at least. I really didn't think that there was going to be a situation where they weren't going to bring him in, because they signed him to the contract. Obviously, contracts before before regular season are not permanent. They can be adjusted. You don't have to pay any guarantees. But I thought they would at least try and bring him in for that. But it looks like it's not all bad for Rees-Zammit, because as of today, it looks like he was able to get picked up by the Jacksonville Jaguars, and be on their practice squad, which is a phenomenal deal. Now, Jacksonville Jaguars are not exactly the greatest team in the world to be able to play for, and they don't really have a very strong history of winning. But he does have a few things that are on their side. He gets to go to a guy who also coached under Andy Reid in Doug Peterson. So the stylings and how he gets utilized can be a little bit more improved. He's still getting paid as a practice squad member, which means he can still get pulled up to be on the 53-man roster, or another team can request to kind of pick him up off that roster if they feel like they got something in him. So the fact that he got in, he's still inside the club is a big deal. And I love this concept where, like, with the NFL, like, you don't know what anybody's going to do. Like, it is such a random shot. Like, anybody can get it, whether you're a first rounder, or really less so a first rounder, if you're a second rounder, to whether you're a seventh rounder, to an undrafted pick. Like, anybody has a chance to still make it in the NFL. unless your name's Colin Kaepernick. But with Rees-Zammit, like I would have thought, like I would have figured maybe 10 years ago he would have, if he had tried, he would have attempted, they would have taken him out of the league. And I think we saw this with a guy like Christian Wade, who was, so dynamic, but wasn't able to continue outside of the, wasn't able to really continue much more in the league after a certain point. But I love this because Christian Wade, ironically, really put this and stated this out really well in terms of the importance that Reese Lightning has of still just being in the league, like what the true objective was supposed to be with him being in the league. And I think it was well said where it was like, we're not surprised if he's not going to be on the what do you call it, on the Chiefs team. Like there's a lot that goes into being on a team and based on need, regardless of whether you show out or not. Like you can have a great preseason and still get cut, but you're showing off for other teams as well. So I want to go to it real quick for what Christian Wade. Now, if you guys don't remember who Christian Wade is, Christian Wade was an England rugby player, maybe back about 10 years ago, who had highlights, super fast cutting player for rugby, absolutely dashing, very similar to Louis Rees-Zammit. But he ended up going from rugby over to the Buffalo Bills and under the same international players program, and got a few plays in preseason and was ultimately cut by the Buffalo Bills. But in that, he made his return back to rugby at Gloucester, which is ironically the same place. It's Gloucester. I'm sorry, guys. At Gloucester. You guys corrected me about this before. At Gloucester. So it's essentially the same place that Louis Rees-Zammit was playing at professionally. But in this situation, he's now Christian Wade is playing it. But they asked him about this because he's got a lot of insight on what it's like to go from the NFL to rugby. So this is what he had to say.
A lot of the time people try to compare it to like how sport is over here in England or in Europe. There is no real comparison. So he wouldn't have necessarily made the team based off bad performance or good performance. There's a load of things that come into it that have nothing to do with him as a person or a player. And so, the transition is hard for anybody, even the guys who've been playing from high school, college. The transition is just what it is. But, I mean, it is difficult, but you can't really look at, whatever you see on the TV and games and selection and stuff doesn't really have anything to do with, how hard the transition is what I'm trying to say. The way that the sport over there works, just to be in an NFL and have to, be able to represent the badge is the goal. So for him to do that, that's success in itself. Anything else that he does is a bonus, That it's just up to him to try and make himself, put himself in a position to be able to contribute for as long as possible. And by contribute, I mean, whether it's, being in the building, not playing, giving good reps in practice, getting game time, making good plays. That's all every guys try to do. Just try to get to the league, and then once they're there, just try and survive.
Yo, I think that you can't ask for a more concrete way of putting it. And again, Christian Wade has been there. He's literally been the guy who had the expectations, tried to get in, and it just ultimately didn't end up working out for him. But yeah, I see it with Louis Rees-Zammit. Clearly, there's something there. He's got the speed, he's got the height, he's got the toughness, he's got the willingness. So teams want to see something out of that. And again, I think there's something to build from it. And honestly, the other thing that's advantageous with him going to the Jacksonville Jaguars is that they constantly play in England. They constantly are playing in England. So I think they're guaranteed a game every year in England, at least. So if he does get on the 53-man roster, they are building a fan base over there. Obviously, the Welsh would be coming up to enter into England to be able to, join in. But you know, to have a hometown boy who's part of the team and possibly getting a chance to be on the field and show out and represent, I think is going to be massive for them. So if Jacksonville uses it right, which I assume that's part of the reason, as well as just his tangibles and intangibles, I think it works as a good marriage. It's a good marriage. So, you know, shout out to Rees-Zammit for like doing this process. Like, again, this was one, it was spotlit. There's people watching him. I feel like he's probably the most watched because he was one of the few times where a active star rugby player was actually leaving rugby mid-career at the top height of his career to go play and do this risky game. And for whatever it's worth, he's still probably going to be making way more money on the practice squad than he would have as playing for Gloucester at the same time, unfortunately. So I think that's commendable. That's bloody commendable. And shout out to him, man. I hope it continues to work out well in his favor. But let me know what you guys think. Let me know where you guys are standing with it. Like, do you guys feel like this is still good? I know some people have talked about they don't like it that rugby players are going over to football, and I'm with you on that one. I'd rather rugby players stay and football players come to rugby, but until the money gets right and the entertainment value gets connected correctly, and you're really able to make yourself into a pop culture sensation, man, do what you got to do. You do what you got to do, and you be able to help it, and every little bit will help to be able to increase that longevity. So
there's wheat flour that you can eat. My name is GiftTime in Baylor. I'm here with Health Enhanced Foods. And I want to tell you about one of our best and most beloved products, our sweet white wheat baking mix. Now, this is the baking mix for those who are not really looking for something that's gluten-free, but they are looking for something that they can eat that is going to still be healthy and is not going to be dangerous. White flour is typically a very processed, incredibly bleached flour, and it's not good for you. It's incredibly cheap for a reason. Our sweet white wheat bread mix is whole grain, dairy-free, high in dietary fiber, free of additives, and is absolutely unprocessed and unrefined. With our sweet white wheat bread mix, you can feel like you're getting all the same rewards that you would get from poor white bread, but with all the nutritional value. You're able to still make your bread loaves or your cakes, your flat bread or your cookies, but you don't have to feel like you are going to be robbing yourself of good carbohydrates. You can get the sweet white wheat bread mix from healthenhancedfoods.com. Absolutely go impress your friends and family with the greatest bread while not making them feel like they have to be gluten-free at the same time. No dangers, full body pleasures. Go ahead and get yours today. Let's go.